The arena doors slammed shut behind me with the finality of a coffin lid. 60,000 alien spectators roared from the crystalline stands above, their voices a chorus of clicks, hums, and guttural bellows that made my bones vibrate. I'd been dragged from my cell an hour ago, given no explanation, no warning. Just shackles removed and a push toward the light. The Zinthara Empire didn't execute prisoners. They made theater of them. I stood in the center of the combat ring, sand hot beneath my bare feet, and waited. The sun of this world, Kethra Prime, beat down like a hammer. Sweat already traced lines through the dust on my skin. I'd been a captive for 8 months. Long enough to learn their language. Long enough to understand that humans were considered curiosities here. Weak. Fragile. Entertaining when they struggled. The opposite gate ground open. My opponent emerged, and the crowd's noise shifted to something hungry. She was Zinthara. 7 feet tall, scaled skin the color of deep ocean water, 4 arms ending in clawed fingers that could tear through steel. Her kind had conquered 17 star systems. She moved with the fluid grace of a predator, each step deliberate, calculated. The traditional combat harness she wore left most of her body exposed, showing the ritual scars that marked her as military caste. But it was her face that stopped my heart. I knew those eyes. Even transformed, even alien, I knew them. Sarah? The word came out as a whisper, lost in the arena's thunder. But she heard. She always could hear me, even across crowded rooms back when crowded rooms were our biggest concern. Back when Earth still existed as more than a memory and a graveyard. She stopped 10 paces away. Her 4 arms tensed, claws extending. The crowd screamed for blood. Commander Marcus Chin, she said, her voice deeper now, resonant in ways human vocal cords couldn't manage. I was told you survived the fall of Earth. I didn't believe it. Sarah, I said again, louder this time. What did they do to you? Her laugh was bitter, alien. What did they do? They saved me. Remade me. Gave me purpose when everything I knew turned to ash. She circled me slowly. You remember Earth's last day, Marcus? I do. Every second. The sky turning black. Cities melting. I was in Vancouver when the bombardment started. I watched people burn. Watched children. I was in Beijing. I cut her off. Fighting. Trying to buy time for the evacuation ships. We all tried. You tried? Her voice rose, and the crowd sensed the emotional shift, leaning forward in their seats. You were part of the military council. The one that provoked them. That fired on their diplomatic vessel. That started the war we couldn't possibly win. The accusation hit like a physical blow. That vessel was deploying weapons platforms. We had intelligence, you had fear. She spat. And 3 billion people paid the price for your paranoia. I wanted to argue. Wanted to explain the impossible decisions, the incomplete data, the pressure from a dozen governments all screaming different orders. But the words died in my throat because she wasn't entirely wrong. They found me in the rubble. Sarah continued. Half dead. Radiation poisoning, burns across 80% of my body. They could have left me. Should have. But Queen Zero ordered them to save survivors. To study us. To see if we were worth incorporating into the Empire. She flexed her 4 arms. This is what mercy looks like in the Zinthara Empire. Transformation. Rebirth. That's not mercy, I said quietly. That's erasure. Her claws gleamed in the harsh sunlight. I'm stronger now. Faster. I'll live for centuries instead of decades. I can breathe in atmospheres that would have killed me. I serve a queen who values strength and honor instead of the squabbling politicians who doomed our species. She dropped into a combat stance. And today I proved my worth by killing the last reminder of my weakness. The crowd's noise reached a crescendo. This was what they'd come for. Drama. Conflict. The clash of ideologies written in blood on sand. I won't fight you, I said. You don't have a choice. She gestured to the viewing platform where Queen Zero herself sat, a massive figure of deep purple scales and golden eyes. She knows who you are. Knows who I was. She wants to see if transformation truly takes root or if old loyalties persist. Sarah's voice dropped to something almost pleading. Don't make this harder than it is. Fight me. Let me prove I've left Sarah Martinez behind. Let me prove I'm StoryHFY of the Royal Guard. I looked up at the Queen. Zero sat motionless, watching with the patience of a being who'd ruled for centuries. This wasn't just execution. It was a test. Of Sarah. Of me. Of whatever fragile peace might exist between the Zinthra and the scattered remnants of humanity. And if I refuse? I asked. Then we both die, Sarah said simply. Her patience has limits. The arena fell suddenly silent, as if 60,000 beings held their breath at once. I raised my fists. Sarah's face betrayed nothing as she struck. Her first blow came fast, a testing jab from her upper right arm that I barely dodged. The second followed immediately, a sweeping claw slash that would have disemboweled me if I hadn't thrown myself backward. The crowd roared approval. She was holding back. Not much, but enough that I could tell. Enough that I stayed alive past the first exchange. Harder! I gasped. If you're going to prove something, prove it! Her eyes flashed with something that might have been pain. Then, she attacked in earnest, and I stopped thinking about anything except survival. She moved like water and struck like lightning. 4 arms meant 4 different angles of attack, and my training had never prepared me for this. I blocked, dodged, rolled in the sand. Took hits that cracked ribs and split skin. But I fought back. I'd learned things in 8 months of captivity. Learned by watching the guards, the other prisoners, the ritual combats that passed for entertainment. Learned that Zinthra scales were tough but joints were vulnerable. That they expected opponents to retreat but struggled with aggression. I drove my elbow into her knee joint, and felt something give. She hissed in pain and rage, and suddenly, the holding back stopped entirely. Her claws raked across my shoulder, drawing blood in 4 parallel lines. I grabbed her lower left arm, twisted, used her momentum to throw her off balance. She recovered instantly, but for a moment, just a heartbeat, I saw surprise in her eyes. You've learned, she said. Had good teachers, I gasped. Mostly the ones trying to kill me. We circled each other, both bleeding now. The crowd had gone quiet again, leaning forward. This wasn't the quick execution they'd expected. Marcus, Sarah said softly. I need you to understand something. What? I'm going to win. I have to. But I need you to know. She lunged, and I barely caught her upper arms, our faces suddenly, inches apart. I never stopped loving you. The words hit harder than any blow. I saw tears in those alien eyes, and something inside me broke. Then stop, I whispered. We can find another way. There is no other way. Her lower arm struck my ribs, and I felt bones crack. I collapsed to the sand, gasping. She stood over me, claws raised for the killing blow. The arena held its breath. Queen Zero rose from her throne. The movement was subtle, but every Zinthra in the stadium reacted. The crowd fell absolutely silent. Guards snapped to attention. Sarah froze, her claws still hovering above my throat. Zero descended the stairs with liquid grace, her massive form somehow moving without sound. She entered the arena through a gate that materialized in the wall, and approached us with the unhurried confidence of absolute power. StoryHFY, she said, her voice carrying despite its softness. Stay your hand? Sarah lowered her arms immediately, dropping to one knee. I stayed on the ground, too injured to move, too confused to try. The Queen looked down at me with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. Commander Chen. Do you know why you're here? To die, I managed. No. She glanced at Sarah. To reveal truth. StoryHFY came to me 3 days ago. Told me of her past. Of you? Of the bond you shared before transformation. She believed herself free of human weakness. She requested this trial to prove it. I looked at Sarah, saw her trembling despite her rigid posture. But I am old, Zero continued. I have ruled for 400 years. I have seen thousands transformed, incorporated into the Empire. And I know this. She placed a massive hand on Sarah's head, almost gently. Love is not weakness. It is the most powerful force in the universe. It survives death, transformation, even the end of worlds. The Queen's words rippled through the stadium. Whispers started, confused and wondering. You did not hesitate when ordered to fight, Cyril said to Sarah. You obeyed. You engaged. But you could not deliver the final blow. Not because you're weak. Because you're strong enough to remember who you were while becoming who you are. She turned to me. And you, human? You raised your fists against impossible odds. Fought a superior opponent knowing you would lose. Not from pride. From love. You chose to give her what she needed even if it cost you everything. Cyril's voice rose, addressing the entire arena now. The Zinthara Empire values strength. But strength has many forms. The strength to remember. The strength to love despite transformation. The strength to sacrifice. She looked between us. This is why we transform. Not to erase, but to enhance. Not to destroy the past, but to carry it forward in new form. The Queen raised her hand, and the gesture commanded absolute attention. Sorry, Thix. You have proven yourself. You are confirmed as Royal Guard, with full honors and privileges. Sarah's head bowed lower. Thank you, my Queen. Commander Chin. You are hereby granted status as protected individual under royal decree. You will serve as advisor on human matters and cultural liaison. Your insights will aid in locating and incorporating other survivors. I tried to process the words. Tried to understand how I'd gone from prisoner to advisor in the span of minutes. You will both serve the Empire, Zero declared. Together. As you were meant to. She paused. As you both secretly hoped. The crowd erupted. Not in bloodlust this time, but in something like approval. The Zinthara loved theater, and this had been theater at its finest. Sarah extended a clawed hand to help me up. I took it, felt the alien strength lift me effortlessly. We stood face to face, me bleeding and broken, her magnificent and terrible in her transformation. I didn't think she'd do this, Sarah whispered. Neither did I. I was going to kill you. I was ready to. I know. But I couldn't. At the end, I just couldn't. I touched her face, scales rough under my fingers. You're still Sarah. Still the woman who cried at sad movies and laughed too loud and believed in second chances. I'm sorry, Thix, now. You're both, I said. That's what makes you strong. Queen Zero had already turned away, ascending back to her platform. The arena began to empty, spectators filing out in orderly rows. Guards approached to escort us to medical facilities. As they led me away, Sarah walking beside me, I realized something profound. The Zinthara hadn't destroyed humanity. They'd scattered us, yes. Transformed some, imprisoned others. But they'd also given us something we'd never had before, a chance to prove we were worth more than our weapons and our fear. Earth was gone. Sarah was changed. Nothing would ever be the same. But we were alive. Together. And in a universe that had tried to tear us apart, that meant everything. The medical facility was efficient and sterile, all white walls and humming equipment. They sealed my wounds with some kind of biological paste that knitted flesh faster than anything I'd seen. The cracked ribs they reinforced with an injection that made my bones feel like they were on fire for 30 seconds before the pain vanished entirely. Sarah sat in the corner, watching. They'd offered to treat her injuries too, but she'd waved them off. Zinthara healing was faster, more robust. The damage I'd managed to inflict would be gone by morning. When the medics finally left us alone, silence stretched between us like an ocean. How many survived? I asked finally. How many humans? We don't know, Sarah said. Scattered across a dozen systems. Some transformed like me. Others kept as what you were. Specimens. Prisoners. Curiosities. She flexed her forearms unconsciously. Zero has been pushing to find them all. She believes humans have something worth preserving. Some quality that might strengthen the Empire. Adaptability, I said quietly. We were good at that. Had to be, with such short lives and fragile bodies. You say we're and had like you're already dead. Aren't I? Earth is gone. Everyone I knew is dead or transformed. I'm an advisor to an alien empire that destroyed everything I ever loved. Sarah stood, moved to my side. Up close, the differences were even more striking. She towered over me now. Her breathing had a different rhythm, slower and deeper. The scales that covered her skin caught the light in subtle rainbow patterns. But her eyes. God, her eyes were still Sarah's eyes. Do you remember our wedding? She asked. The question caught me off guard. Of course. It rained. Poured, actually. Ruined all the outdoor arrangements. Your mother cried. Mine got drunk and gave that horrible speech. A smile ghosted across her alien features. And you laughed. You stood there in the rain with me and laughed like it was the best moment of your life. It was, I said softly. Why? Because adaptability. Because nothing went according to plan, but we had each other, and that was enough. I met her eyes. That's still true, isn't it? Even now? Even like this? She took my hand, my small, fragile human hand, in her massive clawed one with infinite gentleness. I told myself I'd moved past this. That Sarah Martinez died in the fires and Sarithix was born from the ashes. I trained for 2 years. Fought in campaigns. Earned every scar and honor. I thought I'd become something new. You did become something new. But I brought the old with me. She touched her chest. In here, I'm still the woman who loved you. Who married you in the rain. Who dreamed of growing old together and arguing about what to watch on Friday nights and all those stupid, small, perfect things that seemed so important. They were important, I said. They were everything. I tried to let them go. When Zero told me you were here, I volunteered to fight you. I thought if I could kill you, I'd finally be free. Finally, be purely Zinthara. No divided loyalties. No human weakness. But when I stood over you with my claws raised, all I could think was how you still smiled the same way. How you still have that little scar above your left eyebrow from when you fell off your bike as a kid. How you still move like you're dancing even when you're fighting. Tears rolled down her scaled cheeks. You're still Marcus. And I'm still Sarah. And nothing that happened, not the war, not the transformation, not the end of the world, changed that. I pulled her down into a kiss. It was awkward, her mouth shaped differently now, but it was also perfect. It tasted like salt and metal and home. When we broke apart, she was crying in earnest. I miss you, she whispered. Every single day, I miss you. I miss you too. I thought you were dead. I mourned you. And then, to see you walk into that arena. I shook my head. I didn't know if I wanted to die or if I wanted to live forever just to have one more minute with you. The Queen knew, Sarah said. She knew what would happen. That's why she allowed the fight. Why she stopped it when she did. She wanted us to choose. Choose what? To be together despite everything. To prove that love doesn't need familiarity or easy circumstances. That it survives transformation and tragedy and the death of worlds. Sarah squeezed my hand. She's testing us, Marcus. This isn't mercy. It's politics. I thought about Zero's words in the arena. About strength and love and the many forms they took. She's using us as an example. Yes. If we work together, if we show that human and Zinthra cannot just coexist but love each other, it changes the narrative. Humans stop being conquered enemies and become potential citizens. Future warriors. Members of the Empire rather than subjects of it. That's brilliant and terrible, Sarah finished. She's making a political statement wrapped in a love story. And we're the actors in her play. I should have been angry. Should have felt manipulated. But instead I felt something like relief. Does it matter? If the outcome is that we're together? If it means more humans get transformed instead of killed? If it means we get a chance to rebuild something? Maybe not, Sarah admitted. Maybe I'm too cynical. 2 years with the Zinthra military will do that. Tell me about it. Tell me about your life. I want to know everything I missed. So she did. We talked through the night cycle, her words painting pictures of alien worlds and strange campaigns. She told me about learning to fight with 4 arms, about the disorientation of enhanced senses, about dreams where she was still human and the grief of waking transformed. I told her about captivity. About learning Zinthra language from guards who sometimes talked to me like I was a pet. About the other human prisoners I'd met and lost. About the day I'd stopped counting time because it hurt too much to measure the distance from home. Dawn came eventually, the alien sun casting purple-pink light through the medical facility windows. What happens now? Sarah asked. I don't know. We figure it out. Together. She nodded slowly. I have duties. Training sessions. Military briefings. And you'll have your own responsibilities as advisor. So we steal moments. Make them count. I stood, testing my healed body. Just like we did before, when you were deployed and I was on the council. Remember? We'd send messages across time zones. Have 3-minute calls at midnight. Make every second matter. This is different. Everything's different. But the principle is the same. I took her hand again. We adapt. We survive. We love each other through impossible circumstances. That's what we've always done. The medical facility doors opened. A Zinthra guard stood there, scales the color of storm clouds. Sorry, Thix. You're needed for morning formation. Advisor Chen, the Queen has requested your presence for briefing. Sarah rose, towering in her combat harness. For a moment, she was every inch the alien warrior, fierce, deadly, other. Then, she looked down at me and smiled with Sarah's smile, and the illusion shattered. Tonight? She asked. Tonight, I confirmed. We'll figure out where I'm even supposed to live in this place. Find somewhere we can talk. Make plans. Be us. She nodded and followed the guard out, moving with that liquid Zinthra grace that still somehow carried echoes of the woman who'd walked down the aisle in the rain. I watched her go, then turned to face my own future. Advisor to an alien queen. Cultural liaison for a scattered species. Husband to a transformed wife. It wasn't what I'd imagined my life would become. But it was what I had, and I'd learned long ago that life was what you made of the circumstances you were given. I'd make this work. We both would. Because adaptability wasn't just humanity's strength. It was our definition. And love? Love was what made adaptation worthwhile. The guard led me through crystalline corridors to a briefing room where Queen Zero waited with her inner council. They were massive beings, each representing different aspects of the Empire's military and political structure. They studied me with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. Commander Chin, Zero said without preamble, you will explain human psychological structures, social bonding patterns, loyalty mechanisms. We wish to understand how to integrate survivors without breaking them. So I taught. For hours, I explained humanity's tribalism and individualism, our capacity for both profound cooperation and petty division. I talked about families and nations, religions and philosophies, all the complex ways humans organized meaning. The council listened. Some asked intelligent questions. Others challenged my assertions. But they listened, and that was something. When they finally dismissed me, Zero remained behind. You performed adequately, she said, which seemed to be high praise from her. Thank you, my queen. Do not thank me. This arrangement serves the Empire's interests. Your continued existence is contingent on your usefulness. She fixed me with those ancient eyes. However, I am not without understanding of personal bonds. Sarithyx is valuable to me. She has proven herself exceptional. And you make her stronger, not weaker. That is unexpected but welcome. I'll do whatever I can to help her. Help all of us. See that you do. Cyril turned away, then paused. There are 17 other humans in this facility. Prisoners like you were. I will arrange for you to meet them. Assess their potential for transformation or integration. Some may be suitable candidates. Others. She didn't finish the sentence. I understand. I doubt that. But you will learn. She waved a dismissive hand. You are granted quarters in the advisor wing. Your possessions will be transferred. Sarithyx's quarters are in the guard barracks, but she will be allowed visiting privileges. Do not abuse this kindness. I won't. See that you don't. The quarters they gave me were small but comfortable. A sleeping pad, a desk, a window overlooking the alien city beyond the palace complex. I stood at that window and watched Synthera's citizens moving through streets that would never be human streets, under a sun that would never be Earth's sun. But somewhere in this building, Sarah was training or planning or just existing. And tonight we'd find each other again. Make our small rebellion against tragedy just by being together. It wasn't home. But maybe eventually it could be something like it. That night, Sarah came to my quarters still wearing her combat harness, scales dusty from training. She looked exhausted and magnificent. Hi, she said. Hi, I replied. We stood there awkwardly for a moment, like teenagers on a first date instead of married people reunited after the apocalypse. Then she laughed, her old laugh, bright and surprised, and I laughed too, and suddenly, everything was easier. This is weird, she said. So weird. You're tiny now. I could break you accidentally. Please don't. I'll try my best. She folded herself into a sitting position, trying to fit her transformed body into quarters designed for someone my size. Tell me something normal. Something from before. I need to remember what normal felt like. So I told her about the Saturday mornings we'd spent in bed reading news on tablets, drinking too much coffee. About the bookshelf we'd bought from that antique store and could never quite get level. About her terrible singing in the shower and my worst dancing in the kitchen. Small things. Stupid things. Perfect things. She closed her eyes, listening like I was describing paradise. I want that again, she whispered. I know we can't have it exactly like it was. But I want something like it. Moments that are just ours. Pieces of normal in all this strangeness. Then we'll make them, I said. New normal. Right here. She opened her eyes, and they were full of hope and grief and determination. Yeah? Yeah. We talked until the sun rose again, building new memories on the foundation of old ones. Planning a future that looked nothing like what we'd imagined but might still hold joy. The Zinthra Empire had taken everything from us. But it had also, inadvertently, given us back each other. And, as the new day dawned over an alien world, I chose to believe that was enough. That we were enough. That love, human love, stubborn and adaptable and impossible to kill, would find a way to bloom even in the strangest soil. Sarah fell asleep just before dawn, her massive form somehow curled protectively around me. I stayed awake, watching her breathe, counting the subtle rainbow patterns in her scales. She was wrong and right at the same time. She was Sarithyx, warrior of the royal guard, fierce and deadly and transformed. But she was also Sarah Martinez, the woman who'd married me in the rain, who carried our past forward into an uncertain future. The end of the world hadn't killed us. Hadn't killed what mattered most. And in that realization, I found something I hadn't felt in 8 months of captivity, 2 years of loss, 3 years of war. Hope. Real, fragile, precious hope. The kind of hope that humans had always specialized in. The kind that said even when everything is broken, we'll find a way. We'll adapt. We'll survive. We'll love. We'll be us, no matter what form that takes. Outside my window, the alien city began to wake. Zinthara's citizens emerging into morning. A vast empire continuing its ancient routines. And in my small quarters, a human and his transformed wife slept together for the first time in 3 years, dreaming of rain and second chances and the possibility of home. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning again.